The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Good morning. It is Wednesday here at FRC Media. I'm Keith Tebow, and every Wednesday we check in with the mayor of the City of Fall River to see what's happening citywide. Mayor Paul Coogan joins us. Mayor, how are you today?
Good morning, Keith.
I want to actually start on the city's website. The city the administration posted its FY 2025 budget. It will be sent, if it hasn't been already, to the city council for their work. The total budget is $434 million. I believe it's close to $23 million higher than a year ago. A lot of people see that and, they think of high numbers. There's a lot that goes into the budget. I guess talk in general about what went into next year's budget in terms of preparing the city for the next fiscal year.
Well, when you look at the increase like that, most of it, I think, is school increases that are mandated under the Student Opportunity Act. The legislature gave all the gateway cities a tremendous boost in funding, which requires our match. And that's where you see those jumps that have been going on for the last few years. It's mandated school spending. I think we've been pretty good at keeping an eye on costs related to the actual city functions. We settled up our contracts with police and fire. Again, there we might have worked additionally hard on trying to make sure we took care of the guys, because at the same time, we don't want to lose good employees, and police and fire and EMS. Those are the backbone of our public safety. So we want to make sure we do what we can there. But those jumps are pretty much within what I call reasonable increases, other than the jumps in the school funding, which is, again, a state law. I think what we're doing is we had a meeting yesterday. We're looking at where the last big expenditures of ARPA money are going to go. That has to be used up by or committed by December of this year. So we want to make sure we get that done. And we have to wrap up the Bristol County money that the city council has. So those are the things we're going to do. We're going to wrap up our ARPA spending, which will still continue on, but it's going to be committed. And then the budget itself is probably pretty much a copy of last year's with the additional increases based on some inflationary stuff and some contracts and the schools. You're not going to see any wild spending anywhere else across the board.
I know also that in your letter to the city council, it mentions that there are other sort of mandated obligations that have gone up. Health insurance always tends to go up. And also, I believe, pension obligations, which the city has to meet as well, correct?
Well, yeah, that's what I meant when I said there's not going to be any wild spending on things that are optional. Anything we do is mostly mandated spending, and that's across the board. I mean, obviously, health insurance, we've been fortunate that a couple of the increases have been relatively small. And again, pensions, health insurance, gasoline, utilities, those things are they're tough to get around. You have to do what you have to do. And I think the budget is a responsible budget. And I'm looking forward to having the discussions with the department heads and the council and see where we end up.
I know another item that you've been proud to announce is in terms of boosting the city's stabilization account. It's at the highest rate in probably a very, very long time. And also there was a lot of surplus revenue that will help the city through some of these trying times. Talk about that.
Well, you look at the end of the year, we'll be getting it again this year, the turnbacks from, again, anything we can do along the way to use ARPA money or plug holes so we can build up our stabilization account. I don't know if I'm being accurate, but I thought someone said your stabilization account should be about 10% of your budget. So if our budgets, we'll use simple numbers, 400 million, we should have about $40 million in a stabilization account. Those are just obviously goals and best practices. We're not going to get there, but if we can build it up with an eye towards what's going to happen down the road with trash, diamond, health insurance, we can put ourselves in a position where that rainy day fund can support us when things may go a little sideways or revenues decrease to the city. So we have a built-in buffer, which is what you need to run a city like this. I remember when I was a kid at one point, I think the stabilization fund was like 200 or $500,000. It was nothing. It wouldn't last through the winter. But because of our CFO, Bridge has done a good job of monitoring that money and being very aggressive with the ARPA funds that are waiting to be spent to get the right amount of interest in return. And so she's done a nice job with that part of it, and she is building it up. And people have to know that that's sitting in a place where it's going to help the city when we hit hard times.
Yeah. One final effort. I know you meet regularly with city councilors. Do you tend to go a little more in depth at budget time? Do they tend to have a little more questions with you so they can prepare their remarks for budget time?
They're like everyone else, Keith. Once that budget's public, they get their copies. We're printing their copies now. They'll be in their boxes. They'll look at the things, if they see a significant jump here, they'll circle it. If they see a decrease here, they'll circle it. And the questions will come after why, and that's how they get their handle on the budget. They may go back to 22, 23, flip the pages, look at how it corresponds, and get an idea of what we're doing. Again, we've been fortunate enough to have ARPA money. As I always said, it came at an extremely high price, but it is giving us a big build up to both our buffer and our budget. We can still do our capital projects out of there and some of our capital, improvements, meaning like our trucks, our snow blowers, whatever. We can grab that stuff with ARPA money to the best of our ability, and we're making long-term investments that are going to serve the city well for the next 10 years.
All right. Moving on now to the search for a new superintendent of schools. I know the search committee that you formed has been really busy over the past 3 weeks, looking at applicants, conducting some interviews. Where do we stand, and what's the likelihood we'll have someone in place before Maria Ponce retires at the end of June?
Well, the goal was obviously July 1 to have someone in place before then, and I think we're well on track. That panel I think we had 11 applicants. They whittled it down to 6. They've done all the interviews, and now they're going to be sending their candidates to the full committee, where we'll have public interviews that will then go to. We'll do the interviews in one night. We'll pick a spot where it's accessible, all public, all open to the public and transparent. And then we'll have another meeting and discuss the candidates. And hopefully we settle on someone that we think can keep momentum going forward in the district. That's, you look around the state, there's a lot of superintendent openings. It's a very, very big job with a ton of responsibility. And I hope we get the best person that can lead the city forward. We know it's a challenge. We're not going into this with our eyes closed. We know that the person has to have a tremendous work ethic, tremendous skills, and a tremendous educational base and curriculum, human resources. It's a big, big, big job, and we'll hope we get the right person.
All right. We'll look forward to those public meetings very soon. Mayor Coogan, as always, thank you for your time. We'll talk again next week. Take care.
Okay, Keith. Thank you.
All right. And thank you for joining us here at FRC Media. I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great week.